I think a '65 Chevrolet convertible that was either black with a white top or white with a black top, and they were looking for that car, and I never owned a 1960 series anything, and but for some reason they were looking for that, and they've caught all the things they were investigating me for. They have caught those people, convicted them, and they're in prison. Yeah. You can look the one guy up, January 16th, 1980, Littleton, Colorado. And when I seen the picture of that truck driver, I can still recognize him.
What's the name on that guy?
Well, look it up. I can't remember.
What do I type in to the internet if I don't type in a name? If I'm going to find this
You go
information.
January 16th, 1980, Littleton, Colorado, murder.
Murder.
Yeah.
All right.
Put it in. Go
It's
ahead.
right here.
Okay.
I can see you on there.
Yeah.
You're being recorded.
Right. So he drove out to Littleton, Colorado, and raped, knifed, and killed that girl, and left my record albums there with had my fingerprints in it. And then this other investigator who will be mentioned.
That was a truck driver who did
Truck
this.
driver, yeah.
Left your record albums.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
he killed these people.
No, one. He killed a girl, and he's. What was the other thing? I was working in Houston, Texas at the time. I had never been to the state of Colorado at that time, and he had been let off early for a previous rape. Had he served his sentence as he was supposed to, that girl's what that he got killed. And he knew what he was doing. When I left those record albums there, he made sure that he did not touch them with his hands, because they didn't find his fingerprints. And then the investigator, who got in trouble for making a racial slur at a restaurant and eventually got his job back, he said, he would put things onto my Facebook. He'd put things.
Do you think this was purposeful, the truck driver?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You were pinpointed for a framing?
He left my record albums there, and he made sure he didn't touch it because they didn't find his fingerprints.
You know anything about this man?
No, he just picked us up on.
When you read the murder report, you didn't research into his life to see who picked you up and who murdered these girls?
Just what you will pick up when you look at it. January 16th, 1980. Now,
okay.
The investigator that was investigating it, that came to, I'm suspecting came to Orlando. They had all these homeless people at the church that were undercovers, posing as homeless people. And he sent a thing on my Facebook that says, when you think you got away with it, rapes with mixed DNA and stuff, all kinds of crazy stuff. And
now, who sent this to you? I'm sorry.
That investigator. He sent it to me on my Facebook from his Facebook. And I'm trying to think what the hell is going on here. I didn't know what was going on. And eventually I figured it out. That supposition thing, you get so many facts that it builds, a frame.
Yeah.
And
suppose that you did this.
No, to arrive at what's going on, because you don't know what's going on. And like if a fire truck races through the intersection and it goes through a building down there out of your sight, you can pretty much suppose that the fire truck that went through this intersection at a high rate of speed is the same fire truck that went through the building, even though you didn't see it. You understand? I seen an accident one time too, where they said that the guy made an illegal right-hand turn and was the cause of the accident. It was a police officer going at a high rate of speed who went outside the left turn lane to go straight through the intersection and ran a red light and hit this guy in a Subaru station wagon. And I was the first one there.
When was this?
Back in the 80s.
What is the significance of this right now? Can you tell me?
Well, I dropped my business. I flipped a card out in the dash and went in his pocket, and he called me months and months later, asking who I was and
he
what.
Put your card in his pocket?
He's unconscious. I unhooked the back.
At an accident site.
Yeah, I shut the keys
But
off.
how does this fit into the what
Well,
story?
it's
Can I
supposition.
just ask this question?
Doesn't fit in any.
Can I ask this question though?
Yeah.
How does this, and then you answer it, but let me ask it.
Yeah.
So the people in the audience who watch this can understand what my question is before you answer something and no one knows what the hell's going on here.
Yeah, my dad's.
My question is this. How does this accident, where this guy's unconscious, where you flip your card into his...
No, I didn't flip. No.
Hold
card.
on a second, please.
Yeah.
Where your card is put in his pocket. How does this and your story of the murder of a girl with your
Doesn't fit in
medical
at all.
records?
Doesn't fit in at all. It's just something I
So
see.
where does the story end of the murder that you're telling me, and now you're telling me about an accident?
Well,
I can't follow.
supposition. You know, I know that cop car hit that guy, and I know that the guy that made the right hand turn.
Can you help me draw a relationship?
There is no relationship. It's just that I seen what I seen. I knew what I seen.
What are you saying? What is your goal here for me to understand that you're talking?
It's just an accident I seen.
Well, how about this? Can we go and finish one thing at a
Yeah.
time before you were telling me
Uh-huh.
about an accident?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you tell me these two things? Can you answer that?
When you get so many different facts together, you know what happened, even though you didn't directly see it.
So you put facts together. This is how it relates then, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It relates, as you're telling me,
Uh huh.
to your ability to make known to another person what you're saying about all of these situations by making comparisons between what happened in the murder crime where this man you end up being investigated for
Yeah.
and this guy who's in an accident over here. You're saying that it looks like these things have happened and this is what really happened.
Yeah. Especially when I found the Betamax videotape from the store.
BMX videotape on what? VHX?
That filmed the cop turning the lights on for the patrol car.
After that accident that you're saying.
Yeah, the lights for the patrol
Now,
car
where was this accident and when?
in Rochester, New York,
And what year?
in the 80s, early 80s.
Okay, so what I like to do to help me think is I make a timeline.
Yeah.
And this is what other people have encouraged both of us
Yeah.
to do with our stories that have happened in our lives.
Yeah.
So as you share these stories, it's very important for me to realize that I'm being trained.
Well, he's
Can I finish this for the video for the people listening? I'm being trained to write a timeline down
Yeah.
of life events. I'm being trained by you giving yours to me.
Yeah.
Your stories.
Well, enough about that accident. One other thing.
Okay.
Is they were suing him while he's unconscious in the
So
hospital.
when
with a brain
was
injury.
the records issue in that murder of that girl? What year was that?
January 16th, 1980.
1980.
Littleton,
and when is this car
Colorado.
accident? Just so
The
I
car,
can...
I don't.
No,
The
no.
car accident happened.
I need to
It wasn't early 80s. It was between a Rochester City Police car and a Subaru station wagon.
Okay, that is also in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah, I would say it was probably 82 or 83,
Okay,
and it happened at the corner of
how old were
Ridge
you in
Road in
1980?
Mobile. 20. I was probably 22 or 23 at that
How old
time.
are you now?
64.
64. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. In 2024. Go
Yeah.
ahead, tell me more. What's up? What do you got?
Well,
Got my mind together.
changed everything around. Instead of the police suing him for being the cause of the accident, he was able to sue the police for the cause of the accident. And then the guy in the store said, "I've been keeping this, waiting for someone to come along." And I just happened to go in there one day, and I'm talking about the accident. And it was a real long store, like a column store, and he had a Betamax. At the time, it was Betamax. Real grainy, but it showed the cop turn the fucking lights on, and they were trying to say that the cop went through the intersection with the lights
Okay,
on.
I got a request.
Yeah.
I mean, a recommendation for you. Have you ever written this stuff down?
I never wrote nothing about
Okay.
that. No,
This is what's going to happen. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is a live video. As you share these things, all we need to do is take what this says and put it into Dragon software. Dragon software prints it out. AI material prints out this information. Now, I'm telling you this. As I'm writing it down, it's exciting. This story, look at me, bro.
It was just something.
No,
I
here's
seen
what
in a
happens. By the
restaurant.
law, I'm going to tell you what I did. Okay, what I did is I went to Parker Stanberry Law Firm, and they told me,
Who's Parker Stanberry Law Firm?
entertainment,
Oh, yeah.
books,
Well, there's
publishing.
They're already working.
Hang
on
in
this,
here
yeah.
for a second. Hear what I'm telling you, what this law firm told me.
Yeah.
Now, who are you talking about that they are already what?
I had a bunch of movie producers and
Okay,
script
now
writers.
I'm not interested in what happened in the past.
Yeah.
I am in the present. And your story,
Recently,
period,
yeah.
your story, period, okay,
Yeah.
has to have some help.
Uh-huh.
Because you don't have anything, just like me.
I
I
have-
got help. I got a law firm to copyright my story.
Yeah.
And I gave it a title. And they told me what to do. And I followed their directions. So now I'm telling you that it's time for me,
Yeah.
right,
I
to
call this.
help you
I-
get your head together.
I call
Because as you tell the story, your head is together.
I call
Now,
this. I call
I'm
this-
helping myself get my head together for my story because both of our stories that this man and I have to share are so difficult. And the guy sitting in there probably has a story.
They
And
get
that
the-
lady right there probably has a story.
Yeah, but they don't-
and if we
they don't-
get these
they don't-
stories together,
They,
what?
They don't have nearly a decade of FBI notes.
Okay, now talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So I call it criminal affairs at veteran affairs because they knew the mold was there. Prior to 2002, they knew that the Gulf War illness was in there in 2002.
Okay.
And they put me in
Now,
the
you're a
2010
veteran, am I right?
Yeah.
A Marine.
No, a veteran. I'm a Navy veteran. And the guy that assaulted me eventually was a Marine. He may have went from the Navy to the Marines, but someone told me that Marines are often drill sergeants for
What
the
man
Navy.
assaulted you and what kind of story, what way? Because we have
He
some
came
other
up.
assaults. that-
He came up behind me in boot camp when I was 17 years old, and he put his hand in the center of my back and forced me to the ground. We had just finished doing jumping jacks, and he was coming around the front of the class. Someone came in the door behind me, and I looked over to see who it was, and that pissed him off. So now he's really rushing, because you're supposed to look forward and nothing but forward. And we went into a squat where you put your feet apart, you put your hands behind your head, you put your elbows, and you touch your elbows to the ground. Well, I was on my way down to the ground, and the pants were so tight that I couldn't get my legs apart because it would cut into my side. And at that time, I weighed like 167 pounds. I was really lean. And he put the palm of his hand on my spine between my shoulder blades and forced me to the ground, dislocated my sacroiliac. He did that with malice. And then the officer picked me up and ordered me to stand, and he let go of me, and my knees hit the ground, splayed apart, pelvis hit the ground, and I fell over backwards. And then the next thing I knew,
Where were your hands at this time?
behind my head. I hit head first with my hands behind my head. I couldn't.
Because you had to hold your hands behind, or were they?
You do a split.
handcuffed?
You do a split. Okay, you're standing up. You do the split. And you got your hands behind your head. And you got to touch your elbows to the floor. It's a calisthenic. Okay, and I was on my way to touch my elbow to the floor, like I've done many times before. And he came up behind me and forced me to the ground. And my sacroiliac dislocated, and I hit head first into the ground. As far as I know, I was still conscious, but I remember the guy in the white uniform, all the brass and stuff. He picks me up, orders me to stand up, and he lets go of me, and I can't stand. I can't stand. My legs aren't working, and my knees hit the ground, splayed apart, and I hit, tailbone first, and I fell over to my right, and then the next thing I know is I'm on my right, and I have been moved, and there was like 100 people in the room. I had been moved, and I heard them say the first thing that came was I was focusing on the basketball board that was coming up, and everything was brilliant white, very bright, brilliant white. And when you get a head injury, it affects your acetylcholine levels. That's PTSD, and I still have it, high acetylcholine levels. And it causes your pupils to fully dilate. So anyone who's been in shock or scared or whatever, their eyes dilate, and it makes everything very, very bright. So that's why that was happening. I didn't know that at the time, though. And then the next thing was a pop. And the first thing I heard was get a wheelchair. And they picked me up, they put me in the wheelchair, and my head was flopped forward, and they're wheeling me to the door, and I tried to pull my hands in, and I couldn't do it, and I tried to lift my head up, and I couldn't do it, and then my head would flip back, and I imagined I could get my hands inside the hands, but I don't remember going through the door frame of the gymnasium. And when they said, get a wheelchair, okay, when I heard I get a wheelchair, the wheelchair showed up like that. So there must have been another lapse of unconsciousness, lapse of consciousness, because they can't get a wheelchair that fast to the gymnasium. And the reason we were in the gymnasium is we were supposed to be on the exercise course the next day, and they said he's going to get you, on the obstacle course. But it rained, so we ended up in the gymnasium with 2 other classes. And so he had it in for me, and that's where he got me. Now, as soon as he did that and I hit the ground, he said, I didn't do that. And the officer, he was real high up there. He was in charge of the whole place. He goes, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did, he said. He goes, I didn't do that. And he goes, oh, yes, you did. And then he picks me up. But when he picked me up and dropped me, it wasn't with malice, He wasn't operating with malice. The drill instructor was. The master sergeant, he was operating with malice. And then when they watched me for 2 weeks in medical holding. Now, when they wheeled me to the doctor and they took these x-rays, and they said I could do a 90-degree leg raise. I never did a 90-degree leg raise. For one thing, I couldn't do it. For another thing, I couldn't sit on the toilet. I had to go to the bathroom standing up. And another thing is I could hardly go to the bathroom because, things are messed up. You got that pudendal nerve and a bunch of other things. And then they took me to medical holding, and I went to sit on the bed, and they said, this isn't no country club. I wrote this all down too, many, many years ago. So they wouldn't let me sit down. They said, you can either stand or sit in this chair. That was the choice. Well, the chair was out the fucking question because it was too uncomfortable to sit. And then when I would wake up in the middle of the night, he'd have that chair in the door backwards, sitting on it, looking at me. They followed me everywhere I went. And then when I went for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I'm asking them, can I get stuff for lunch so I don't have to walk for lunch when I have breakfast? They wouldn't do that. And whenever I would go there, it was when everyone was gone, and it was at the end of lunch, at the end of dinner, at the end of that. Another thing, too, is the water was pretty fucking foul in that place, and those water fountains that they had were eventually outlawed by the state of New York many, many years later because of some kind of contamination issue.
This was Navy training at 17?
Yeah, I was 17. Now,
and you got in the Navy at 17?
Yeah, he came. You see, a recruiter is basically a government-trained predator. They're like a Judas goat that leads the lambs to the slaughter. You got the little bell, and they follow them through, and they either get sheared or they're slaughtered. That's what a recruiter is. And a recruiter is a predator because what he does, like these ROTC programs are and everything else, makes a bunch of false promises, gets you punch drunk on a bunch of fairy tales, and they're grooming you. It's a grooming process. ROTC is a grooming process. They're predators. And they go to these adolescent schools, and he would follow me everywhere. Now, I had the high IQ, 138. I had the perfect score in abstract reasoning. I had the Myers-Briggs classification, INFJ type A, which is very rare. And I also had, in the 6th grade, I was fully, I was treated for autism. I went through the occupational therapy and speech therapy because I couldn't say R's or T's or L's or roll my R's. And
How old were you when that was happening?
First grade.
And how long did that last?
They did all through 1st grade, and then there was some follow-up in the 2nd grade. But my dad used to say, tell a joke and you'll smile, because I'd never smiled. So I got, even in my notes, when they stole all my stuff out of my storage area, that was this was by a judge who had the same, not a judge, a Supreme Court attorney.
Yeah.
Had the same storage area, and they stole all my stuff out of my storage. And in my notes for
You're saying how old were you then?
when they stole my stuff.
Well, I'm really interested.
No, I was diagnosed at 15.
No. I ain't talking about anything like that. I have a question on how old were you when someone went into your where to steal what?
They did that back in 2022 or so.
Okay, hold on a second.
That's
The
approximately
assault we're talking about in the Navy happened when you were 17 years old.
1977.
Okay, 1977. 1977. 1980, there's a thing that we have on here. Can we repeat that for the camera?
1980.
Well, we'll go back
The
and find
truck
that.
driver thing?
Yes, truck driver.
That
Okay,
was
got
January
it.
1916, 1980. My friend came to my
Got it.
house
Okay, got it. Let's just keep on going. Keep on going. Hold on.
right after New Year's. It was New Year's, like the day before or something.
All right.
And he said he was hitchhiking to Texas with his friend Dan. And the next day, the three of us left out of Rochester, New York, and we got into a tractor-trailer truck at the corner of 104 and the 390 Expressway. And he drove us to, he let us off in a blizzard in Ohio because he said he was going out west. He didn't say where he was going. He
That's
wanted
Interstate 90 goes across to New York.
Interstate 90, yeah.
And
We went through
390.
the way station, and they checked the way station records 40 years later and identified the truck. And 35 years later, after the things, I volunteered for the VA, went through the background check, went through the fingerprinting, and that's when they started investigating me for being a serial killer.
Okay, because of that, we have that on this video. That's good stuff. Okay, 1982, something down this car accident you were speaking of, and how that's related. I had questions.
There's no relation at all. It was just something I brought up.
No, how it was related because you brought it up.
Supposition.
We described it
And you
here.
know what happened when you
That
didn't see
it related to 1980 truck experience and murder, incrimination.
Yeah.
By the way, that there are interesting facts of how people don't recognize what the hell's going on.
That's a hyperthymesia. You see, a lot of times when you have hyperthymesia,
Okay,
you're
hold on
autistic.
before we go into hyperthymesia, because I want these people who watch this to understand that we've already visited that, and to follow and to think about your care and your ability to bring everything out that a professional person could help you get through.
I've already dealt with it. I read how to deal with it myself.
No, I mean a professional person help you get through the present that you're in now. Because right now I think there's some limitations because of the stress that you're
Well,
experiencing.
it's the fact that I went to all these medical institutions all over the country, and the VA created that false document that said I gave them permission, and that was created through the man in the middle attack. These institutions took that fraudulently produced document in good faith and communicated with these VA predators, and they would do testing. They wouldn't make the diagnosis, nor would they render the treatment. So they got sued for.
So you're saying these things are in 2000?
Yeah, every time I went to the hospital, I wasn't getting the care that I was supposed to do because the Veteran Affairs was the Veterans Health Administration.
So from 1977 to 2000, you were in the hospital for a lot of things?
No. Well, yeah, all the time for fucking headaches. I was getting really bad headaches. And from when I fell in the hospital.
So you were housed, how many times would you say between 1980 and 2020, right now, around this time?
Well, in the 80s, I never went to the hospital. My friend used
1977, you were in the hospital.
I was taken to the.
Am I correct? Yes or no?
I was taken to a thing. They did an X-ray, and that was it. That's the extent
You said
of it.
that you were thrown down on the ground and assaulted in 1977.
In boot camp, I wasn't thrown on the ground. He came up behind me and pressed between my
Can
shoulder
you help
blades.
me get the year of that and say yes or no?
1977. I got the
So
exact
you were
date.
hospitalized. You were giving me a.
No, they took me to
They
the
kept
doctor.
you in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they took
At
me.
that time.
They stood me up in front of the doctor because I couldn't stand on my
Where
own.
was the doctor?
He was in the office
What office?
at the Lake Baldwin Veteran Affairs Medical Center, where it is now. But
So
at
that's
that,
a hospital.
no, at the time it was the clinic for the Orlando Naval Training Center.
What did you call it? Say that again. It's the.
Lake Baldwin Veteran Affairs Medical Center. But
It's a medical center, but it's not a hospital. Are there doctors?
yeah. You can't. No, there's no overnight stays or anything like that.
Okay.
And
Called Lake Baldwin. What again?
it's the Lake Baldwin Veteran Affairs. It's in Orlando, Florida.
And
But when-
medical center.
yeah,
Veteran Affairs
yeah.
Medical Center.
I believe it's a medical center. I don't know what else they would call it. But
So you have a wheelchair there. You're
well,
telling
no.
me,
When they took me there,
where did you have
when
the
they
wheelchair that's recorded here?
when they took me there in 1970, it wasn't
1970?
the Lake Baldwin's Veteran Affairs
You're talking
Medical.
about 1977.
1977.
All right.
It didn't have nothing to do with the VA. It was just the medical facility for the Orlando Regional Training Center, the Orlando Recruit
this is
Training.
Navy.
Yeah, RTC, Recruit Training Center. Yeah,
Okay, so it's training facility for the Navy.
it's a Recruit Training Center,
Corpsmen.
boot camp, and they just took me there. They did the X-rays.
Now Lake Baldwin, that's in New York.
No, it's in Orlando, Florida.
There was a training facility in 1977 in Orlando, Florida.
The Orlando Recruit Training Center, RTC. They sold it to the Pritzker family. It was supposed to be low density, low income housing. They turned it into.
You were there in 1977.
For boot camp, yeah.
Now boot camp is held in Chicago, Illinois. Now, am I correct?
They closed the facility in Orlando. It's no longer there, so it's only held in outside of Chicago, Minnesota, someplace, and
No, that would be
San Diego.
not Minnesota. That would be Illinois.
Oh, okay, well I never went there.
That's Chicago,
yeah.
Illinois.
I told them it was too cold. I didn't want to go there, so they sent me to
And that's
Florida.
near heading to Wisconsin, up north above
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah.
But that's several miles, 2.5 hours from Chicago City
Yeah,
to the border of
well I never
Wisconsin.
been there. Yeah,
Wisconsin. So
the other
the training
place
facility for the
is
Navy
San Diego.
is north on the water in Chicago, north of the water of Lake
Superior,
Superior,
Michigan.
Michigan.
Okay,
That is in Chicago.
yeah.
I was there
You were in the Navy.
in 2000.
Were you in the Navy?
Let me tell you my story. Okay, I was there at the Chicago training facility in the year of 1999, 96, no, not 99, 96 to 99, somewhere in there. And I experienced these things, and I can picture a little better what Orlando was like. So thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they just took me and took an X-ray, and then the first time I went to Veteran Affairs, where they covered up my traumatic brain injury. That's visible on a MRI that I have, and the lab work that they did showed that I had a traumatic brain injury because of all these neurotransmitters and hormones that were below detectable limits, which means the pituitary gland wasn't working because the pituitary stalk had been damaged.
Okay, before you go on to information and giving people good information that I believe will be helpful for medical students or for people who are interested in the phytochemicals that are located in tissues, phytochemicals in plants. We also have phytochemicals under our skin that the sun teaches what to do. To quote, make cholecalciferol. To quote, make 125 cholecalciferol.
Yeah.
Deoxyribose, nucleic acids, the sun makes. But all that we really need is to simplify our processes that we understand in medicine, in injuries, in trauma, and related tissue damage that might come with those experiences. An opportunity for your skin and your organ tissues themselves to receive medicine. Medicine from the sun, medicine from oxygen, breathing deep into the body.
I was supposed to get 40 hyperbaric chamber therapies to save my brain and spinal cord, and the Veteran Affairs wouldn't let them do it.
And that was 19.
That was 2019.
That was 2019.
But they put a stop to it in 2020 because every time I would request it, they wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Now,
so here's where I'm going to stop this video and use the restroom and let us know that we are on our way in Menlo Park to creating a farm that will allow people to come and experience joy. Creating a farm is one thing. We already have some farms over in Half Moon Bay that are doing great work for people with medicines, natural medicines that mushrooms provide. It's a mushroom farm, and these mushrooms are beautiful medicines that come for neurological damage for the human brain. And my brother's about to talk again right now while I'm in the middle of sharing this, but give us a second because I got to go to the bathroom.
If I don't tell you what I want to tell you when I want to tell you, when you give me the chance to say it, I'm not going to say it because I forgot it.
I know.
So when I was a kid and I went to say something, my father would have everyone stop talking and let me talk because of the autism. If you didn't let me say it when I wanted to say it, it wouldn't be said later because I would be off somewhere else. And that's a trait of autism. And the reason he used to tell me to say jokes was it would make me smile because I never smiled. So I would tell a joke to someone and it would smile, and they called me a class clown in my teachers, in my reports, because I just wouldn't smile.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to the bathroom like I was, and I'll be back.
And also look you in the eye, too.
Does the bathroom need a key in there, or can I just go in?
You can just go in.
Okay, this is our brother. This is McDonald's, and this is his stuff. And he is out here like this, and it should not be. Should not be.
So you go in and get your stuff.
Now wear my backpack in there because, fellas, guess what we're doing?
But I need to go get a refill, so.
You watch it while you're getting a refill? I don't know how that's going to happen.
No, I'm going to stay here until you get back.
No, you don't have to.
Your book. You want to get your book?
No, that ain't going to get stolen. There ain't nothing in there. I got all your notes in here. But I'll, can you hand me that? Can you just reach out that notebook? Because, no, just this part. That's good. Thank you so much, bro. All right, guys, we're doing a video here. What? Go ahead. No, that's my point. I'm gonna piss before you. All right, P-Pals. They call us P-Pals because